It is never hopeless, but sometimes I just cannot hope. That line wraps itself around the soul of this moment like barbed wire pulled tight by trembling hands. I don't think Hemingway meant to write a prophecy, but he did. Because there are mornings now when I wake up and feel the weight of every headline like a wet concrete in my lungs. Gaza, Epstein, ICE, children starving on the beach, mothers screaming in broken hospitals, and the men who made this happen are flying private jets and tweeting about Scripture. We live in an age where praying feels like screaming into a hurricane, and where screaming feels like performance unless you're willing to burn something down with it. We send what we can, we write, we rage, we call senators who don't answer, and we shout at institutions that shrug. Every day is a test of spiritual endurance, another round in a fixed fight, another day of watching genocide unfold like a reality show and being told to remain civil about it. They are starving children. That sentence should halt the world. That sentence should split the earth wide open and make angels weep, but instead it scrolls by on a screen, a piece of content, a data point. Starving children, swipe, like, and move on, and every once in a while someone says, well, if Hamas would just, and I swear to God, something inside of me breaks open and floods with fire. What are we supposed to do when the killers wear uniforms and the press calls them brave? When the murderers have the microphones and the victims are buried too deep for the camera crew to find them? When there are armies between us and the dying and still we feel it like a phantom limb of our own humanity being severed one bomb strike at a time? The helplessness is real. But the hopelessness is a trick. They want you to feel overwhelmed. They want your exhaustion. They want your resignation. Because if you believe it's futile, then they've won. Then they can keep feeding the machine with no resistance. Then your voice fades into static. But they are starting to flinch. They are squirming under the weight of our noise. You can see it in their panic statements, in the cracks forming in their little alliances, in the performative concern that wasn't there 6 months ago. It's not justice yet, but it's movement, and movement matters. And still there are days when all of this feels like screaming across an ocean, hoping your voice reaches a child who has 3 days left to live, because the world has decided their life was expendable. And that child, they don't need your words. They need food, they need water, they need the missiles to stop. And you can't stop them alone. But here's the thing, we don't do any of this alone. The people writing, the people marching, the people giving what little they have left, they are the heartbeat of this resistance. And even when it feels like we're losing, the very act of refusing to go silently is a victory. Because silence is complicity, and we are not complicit. We are weary, we are furious, we are sometimes paralyzed by the weight of it, but we are not fucking complicit. This world is being held hostage by men who have mistaken cruelty for strength and profit for morality. But if we keep turning the screws, if we keep showing up with words, with art, with witness, with stubborn, defiant hope, we will force them to choose between shame and collapse. And Hemingway understood something we are learning in real time, that hope is not always a feeling. Sometimes it's a choice made in the dark. A hand extended in futility, a prayer muttered through gritted teeth, a scream into the void that somehow becomes a chorus. And it is never hopeless, even when we cannot hope. And even then, hope is still a weapon, so wield it. Defiance till death.